Are you seriously fired up about growing as a leader in business or church-based ministry? Are you feeling somewhat frustrated about not having realized your full potential in what you've been called to do? Could you do with someone to help you get some extra clarity or to be a sounding board for your plans and ideas? Great athletes have coaches, so do great leaders. The right leadership coach for you will result in an increased sense of clarity, direction, and purpose, dramatically increasing the results you achieve. If you're ready to step up, contact Errol to book a free, no-obligation introductory coaching session and see whether Errol is the right coach for you. Errol takes the lessons learned from his own leadership journey and from his extensive research to help leaders and entrepreneurs to step into their biggest challenges and rise to their next level. Email admin@errollawson.com right now to schedule your call.
Hello and welcome again to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast with me, Errol Lawson, and our guest today is Cedrick LaFleur. Cedrick LaFleur is a motivational and empowering senior executive with more than 30 years of success across the healthcare and sports industry, leveraging extensive experience in global marketing and sales management for customer-focused organizations. His broad areas of expertise include sales operations, sales effectiveness, marketing strategy, marketing development, new product launch, clinical laboratory management, and leadership enhancement. And of course, Cedrick is one of the certified coaches and trainers and speakers in the John Maxwell leadership team. Cedrick, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you very much, Errol. I really appreciate you having me on and look forward to having a conversation with you.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Cedrick, I know there's a lot more I could say about you in your bio there, but fill in any gaps for us, please, and then give us a glimpse at what you're up to in the world right now.
So you hit on a lot of things, what I'm doing, in terms of my background, but so I spent the last 30 years in healthcare, the last 22 of those years managing a sales unit for one of the top 10 largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And throughout that journey, I've dabbled in my entrepreneur side and had, owned different businesses along the way. And I recently retired, February 8th. In fact, I retired. And now I'm full-fledged doing my consulting business with LaFleur Leadership Institute.
Awesome. And just give us a glimpse into your origin story, please, because I know we met recently at the John Maxwell certification in Orlando, Florida, and I was really blown away by the impact you're having with your work in your consultancy business. Guys, if you're listening and you're asking yourself today, how can I make a difference in the world? How can I make an impact in the world and in the next generation? Cedrick is doing this on a big scale. Cedrick, tell us about your consultancy and how you started it and how you've transitioned into it from your your management role into the business.
Yeah. So at the age of 35, I was trying to think about where I wanted my family to be years from now. And I prayed about it. I'm a huge believer, and I prayed about it, and God said, you need to set a plan to be able to retire at the age of 50. And when you first get those words from God, a lot of times we go, well, let me think about that, kind of question whether we should be doing this. And he came back to me and said, you need to set a plan by the age of 50 that you can retire. So my wife and I sat down, we developed a strategic plan, say by the age of 50, we need to have, and we set a dollar amount that we need to have so that I could retire. At the age of 48, we hit that number. So then it was like, wow, he's really making this happen. So I knew that in two more years from then, I was going to retire. So I started looking for and thinking about, well, what am I going to do once I retire? And one day I ran across the John Maxwell team, and I'd taken John Maxwell courses before, but hadn't really considered, consulting in that world. And so one day I decided, let me look into this a little bit farther. And I did. I left my office and I told my wife, I said, this is what I'm going to do when I retire. So I called John Maxwell team and we joined the team, and I immediately set out to set up and develop LaFleur Leadership Institute. Wow. Now, I'm a huge reader as well. Mm-hmm. And one of the books that I read is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
And Napoleon Hill says in one of his chapter about desire, it says, once you have your plan and you set the amount of money or the product that you want, he said, go after it immediately, whether you're ready or not. And that's what I did. I set up the business and said, I will learn all of this John Maxwell stuff as I go. And when I did that, it was amazing what happened. So God's plan was working. He said, retire by 50. So I let my organization know that here's when I'm going to retire. So now he shows that if you listen to him and follow him, he will do his part, right? So then we started working with youth as our first major project.
Okay, so this is a consultancy, right? Was it just yourself or yourself and your wife? Did you have a team?
Yeah, so we have a team of people. It's a 5-person team.
Okay.
And we started out really just going to schools and say, look, we want to serve youth. We want to add value to students. We have a program that we think would work.
Right.
We didn't know if it was going to work or not. We had a belief that it was going to work.
Wow.
So we set it up. The principal was nice, and she said, so tell me about your program and what do you want to do? So we told her about the program. She goes, okay, it sounds good to me. Let's get students signed up for it. And the very first program was 40 students signed up for an hour-long session. And we were surprised that 40 students would sign up.
So they signed up voluntarily?
They signed up voluntarily.
Okay, good.
And the program was a hit in the school with students. So then we set up a third and a fourth and a fifth program. And once we set up the first one and we saw that it was a success, we knew that we were on to something. And what we did is we called them success panels.
And what did you do in the program? Was it a leadership program? Was it?
So the very first program was about entrepreneurship. And in fact, it was called So You Want to Be an Entrepreneur.
Okay.
So in this 55-minute session, we invited entrepreneurs to come and talk to students about the challenges of being an entrepreneur. What's the pros? What's the cons? What made you want to do this?
How to do it?
Yes, and it is amazing what happened. Students absolutely loved it. So then our next sessions, what we did is the exact same format. We just had different topics. Another topic was financial literacy. So I teach, I don't know if you've heard of Dave Ramsey, but I'm a Dave Ramsey master financial coach.
Okay.
So I do financial literacy training. So that's what we did for students. And here's what happened. It was amazing. On the back end of the program, I put in a little bit about investing, why you should invest. And the students said, well, this is great, but we want to know how to invest. So what did that do? That set us up for the next program.
Now, who paid for these programs? Did the students pay? Did the schools pay?
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about our system, students pay nothing to come to the program. And for the first 2 years with the school district, we charged nothing for the program. It really wasn't costing us anything beside, some snacks and maybe something for the green room for our panelists.
Sure.
Other than that, it was time. And so, because what we wanted to do is create value for the school district and take price out of the issue.
Right.
And that was really a part of our plan, because once you create value and you eliminate price,
absolutely,
then people will come back for it again.
Absolutely. Of course, the school is excited to run it and just to add value to their students.
Exactly. So we did that for 2 years. And after 2 years, we had created enough value and interest, not only from the students, but from the superintendent of the district, also from school board members. And then we had a conversation around what they do for leadership development, not only for students, but for teachers as well. And a question I literally asked the superintendent was, what do you do for professional development for teachers and administrators? And he said, well, we have funds to do that. And so I asked, well, how do we partake in those funds? And he said, well, put together a proposal and come talk to us. So you don't have to ask me twice. So that's what we did. And now the school district takes care of the financial part of these conferences now.
Now, just to clarify that, how big is the school district? How many schools in the district?
Yeah, so there's 56 schools. There are 32,000 students in that district. There are 2,600 teachers in that district. And, they have the gamut from elementary all the way up through high school.
And how many of those schools are you providing this leadership training for?
So our agreement is to provide leadership development for 15 of those schools. Secondarily, we provide leadership development for the other schools. But the primary focus is to help their underperforming and low-performing, underperforming and failing schools.
Right.
But I'll give you an example of how we've already expanded that and increased that we're going to be rolling this out to the other schools. We're doing a conference. We just did a conference 2 weeks ago for 172 students for 2 of those high schools that are low performing or failing. But we're going to do a conference in May that's going to have 300 students in it, and the top performing school in the district is going to be included in that conference.
That's great.
So we're expanding that outreach.
So there's this an increasing impact you're having here in the lives of these young people in this particular district now. Lots of lessons in here. So things that I'm hearing happened here. Number one, you had a passion. So you were in a career. You made the decision to say, you know what, Lord, I'm going to pray about this. God, what are you saying? You had a clear direction that by age 50, you're going to retire. Well, then you developing yourself. You joined the John Maxwell team. And then you volunteered. You without charge, you stepped in and said, hey, to the school head there, we're willing to offer you our services at no charge to add value to these young people. You added value, you gave value before the ask, before the big opportunity came, right?
Yes.
It's powerful.
And here's the thing. And I tell young entrepreneurs this: if you follow your passion, the money will come. But if you follow money or chase after money, you will never develop your passion, and the money will be very temporary and it will not be satisfying.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, we followed our passion. We knew that we had a product that we thought was going to be good. We had to put it in front of someone to see what the responsiveness was going to be. And once we did that, the responsiveness was, really there. But then the money part came as we added value. And this works not only in public school systems. This works if you think of Ray Kroc when he developed the McDonald's franchise. He was following his passion. He wasn't following the money trail. He was following his passion first. If you think of Thomas Edison, who failed over 10,000 times, it wasn't the money that was making him keep trying this over and over again. It was his passion for accomplishment and success that it was following, and then the money came.
Yeah, it's true. And I imagine in the way it hasn't always been smooth sailing. What's been your biggest challenge on your leadership journey so far?
So the biggest challenge in the leadership journey has been when I was a young leader, believing that I was a leader before I was ready. And I was believing that I was a leader because of title.
Okay.
You are in charge of this sales organization, right? Okay. Well, just because today I'm just a worker, the next day I'm in charge of everything, doesn't mean overnight all of this leadership wisdom and knowledge and ability and skills have just poured into me while I was sleeping, right? So the biggest challenge was understanding that I needed to develop. When I was a very new leader, I was horrible at it. I told people what to do versus inspiring them and trying to get them to come along with me on this journey. In pharmaceutical sales, it's about the number. It's great if I like you, but it's really about the number. And that's the worst thing for a new leader to have.
How does a new leader avoid that happening, right? Because I can imagine, people get that title and they think it's about, they feel a sense of prestige and responsibility, but they haven't yet got the capacity or the substance. What's your advice to somebody who's maybe in that position right now that they've resonated with what you've said?
Yes, growth and development. The law of intentionality says growth doesn't just happen. You must be intentional about it. And so, one, if your company is not sending you to leadership developmental training programs, read. I'm a big reader. I wasn't when I was a first level leader. But the other thing is sign yourself up for leadership development courses, even if your company is not doing it. It's going to be worth it for you in the long run. And I'll give you an example how it really hit home for me, and it's personal, but I'll share it with you. I was about 10 minutes away from having a meeting with my team one Monday morning, and my phone rang. And I normally don't answer the phone right before a meeting because I'm getting prepared mentally. But something told me to answer that call. My daughter, who had played college basketball and pro basketball, she was now coaching at the college level. It was her, one of their assistant coaches called me and said, "Mr. LaFleur, I just want you to know that your daughter's in a hospital. She tried to commit suicide." So imagine getting that call. My world turned upside down. Life is like going 100 miles an hour through my head. But I still had that call with my team. And I got on the call. And here's what happened. And this is the beauty of transformation in your life and God working in you. The first thing I said to them was, "Good morning, team. I want to first apologize to you. I want to apologize to you for treating you the way I have treated you these past couple of years. I want to apologize to you for not caring about you personally. And I will never, ever," and this is what I told them, "I will never, ever treat another human being like that again." And from that day forward, and you could call every one of my team members up now and they can tell you, since that day forward, I have been on a quest and a mission to make sure I never devalue another human being. And every one of my team members, I will tell them, "Look, it's important for you to make sure that everything that happens with your family, you take care of that before work. I would say this: never let me hear you say you missed some event for your child because of work. And I'd say, because work is going to be here, but your child is not always promised to be here. And
how's your relationship with your daughter now?
Oh, it wasn't an issue with a relationship with my daughter, okay. But she's fine now. And this was like 8 years ago now. But she, this is what happened to her, and I couldn't understand it because I wasn't an athlete. Right. I played athletes, on Monday morning after the game was over, But she said, "Dad." Well, let me say this first. I couldn't understand why, because I knew the life that we had provided for her. Mm-hmm. I said, "Well, what do you have to be upset about?" Mm. She says, "Dad, look, basketball has been my life since I was 7 years old." She goes, "I've gone through middle school, high school, college, and pros playing basketball, and everything revolved around this." She goes, "Right now, my life feels empty because she doesn't walk in a stadium and people are cheering." She was ranked the top 5 player in the country. She was, one of his big time players, and that adulation was gone now. So she said she didn't know what to do. I said, "Well, but you're coaching." She goes, "That doesn't do it. That there's a void in my life." Wow. I couldn't understand it until she broke it down to me that way, because I didn't have that type of background, right? But so we got her all the help she needs. She's great now and living and loving life, but it's something that she went through.
Wow, awesome! Thank you for sharing that story and the power and the transformation that took place there. As you're building and you're planning forward for the foundation for your organization, over these 100+ interviews now, we've identified that all the leaders that we've spoken to, there are 5 things they do really well. We call these the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. The first thing that they do is they have the ability to create and communicate a compelling vision for their organizations. How have you gone about creating your leadership vision? What's been your process?
That's an awesome question, and I will tell you this: I believe in very simple, not complex in terms of creating your vision and your mission statement for your organization. And Simon Sinek actually helped me with this process a few years ago, where he talks about understanding your why. Mm-hmm. And if anyone ever goes to my website, they will see that we switched we had a vision statement and a mission statement, and we switched that. And I'm going to read you just quickly here. It says, "Our why." And because Simon says, this is why people buy from you and contract with you. It's not about what you do, but it's your why you do it. And our why simply says, we exist to help organizations grow best-in-class leaders, to help improve their team's performance and accelerate market momentum, to ensure that your team is providing excellent customer experiences. That's it. That's our why. That's why we're here. There's no other reason that we exist at LaFleur Leadership beside helping build best-in-class leaders. Mm-hmm. And then we go into the how we do it and what we do, but sure. That's it.
So how did you create that statement? What was your process of creating that? And then obviously it's there on your website, but they say vision leaks, right? And oftentimes we have to figure out how we keep it front and center, not just for our team members, but for our clients and potential clients. So how did you create that vision, number one? And then how do you keep it front and center?
Yeah, so it was very easy. The name is LaFleur Leadership Institute. So we're about leadership development, education, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very, very simple. I said, here's the name. What is it that we want to do? We want to add value to people. We want to help people grow. And so it was very easy to create that. I know some companies and organizations go through a very long, arduous process. I just, Napoleon Hill says, if your plan is so complex, you have the wrong plan. So I keep it very simple. We're a leadership development organization. So what do we want to do? We want to build the world's best leaders.
Awesome. And then, and how do you communicate that?
We communicate it in several ways. One, in what we do, in our delivery when we're working with an organization, showing them that we care and we're not just there to present stuff to them. Mm-hmm. And what I tell clients is, we're a partner. We're not just a vendor coming in throwing information out, John Maxwell information out to you. So we want to know you, and we want to know your clients as well, so we can help build those world-class leaders. The other way that we communicate this is every day. The beauty of social media is you can get the word out about what you do and how you do it and why you do it on a daily basis. So being consistent and persistent with your messaging. And so every day at 6 a.m. and every day at noon, we send them
media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. On every social media platform that we have, we send out a message twice a day.
Awesome. The second core ability is the ability to get the best out of the people you lead, whether they like you or not as well. How have you gone about building your team? What's been your process? And has there been a process in the past that hasn't worked so well for you? Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So, building a team is key and critical to everything that you do. Now, when you're a young leader, sometimes you think, well, I can do this all by myself. Until you read the law of significance. And the law of significance simply says 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. So if you want to have a great organization, you have to have a good team around you. If you think of the greatest sports legend around, well, one of the greatest sports legends around, I guess, Michael Jordan, right? He couldn't win a championship, not one, by himself.
It's true.
Right? So he had to have a good team around him. So my process for developing a team is simple. 1, I want to find a person that believes what I believe, but think different thoughts. You need to have a person people around you
that's good
that believe like you. They have the same core values and the same morals that you have, but they think different thoughts.
Good.
Okay. The second thing that I do is I personally interview everyone. I used to let other people around me just recommend someone. No, I don't do that anymore because I've been. You talk about the challenges. That's where I've been burned because it's someone else's friend. I say, oh well, then they must be a good person. No, that doesn't necessarily always mean that they believe what you believe.
Right.
They got the different thought process down easily. The belief system is. But so I personally interview everyone, and I want to look them in the eye, and I ask them certain questions. So tell me, what do you do every day? That's going to tell me whether that person is being proactive in life or they're being reactive in life. Right?
Yeah.
The next thing I want to know is, so what's your vision for the future? Where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now? If they don't have an answer for that, then I know that they're not right for my team, because they're stuck in just the moment. And I do understand today matters and being present, but you also have to be thinking about where you want to go. Okay. And then the last question is, what are they doing for personal development? If a person doesn't have a plan for personal growth and development, they will never be able to help me.
Wow. Come on.
Because I need people that can help me get better. I don't need people that's going to just come to me and say, oh, yes, Cedrick, that's a great idea. No, every one of my ideas is not great.
So someone's listening and they say maybe you've raised the bar really high there. How do you respond to that?
Well, the standard never changes. That's all I'll tell them. The standard is the standard.
Yeah,
it's not going to change. I do believe that people can grow and get better. That just means, though, they can't be a part of the core team.
Yeah. They
may be able to help us with a project or something, but they can't be a part of the core team.
Sure.
Because personal growth and development is too important. And if you have a person that is not into personal growth and development, you can't make them become a better person. You can't make them grow.
That's about character, right? And they have that or not. The skills and the talent we can develop, but the character that's got to be inbuilt, man.
Absolutely.
So the third is about the ability to create and manage wealth. All of the influential leaders that we've come across on our podcast over the last couple of years or so, they've identified or they've made it clear that there's an ability they have to create and manage wealth. You've told us how you've made some money in your business, but how did you make your first dollar?
Well, so the first dollar, let me say this first. I love this part. It tells a lot about a person in terms of how they manage their money. It tells a lot about how they manage the rest of their life. If they just spend happy, that means they're going to spend your money happily too. If they manage their money well, that means that they can manage your money well, as well. So the way I made my first dollars was in girls basketball. So I ultimately owned and ran the largest girls basketball franchise in the southern part of the United States.
Okay.
We had 40 teams from Texas all the way to Florida. So for people that are not in the U.S., that's, really Texas is a huge by itself. But then you have 4 other states that we sponsored girls basketball programs for. But I was also on Adidas grassroots basketball board of directors. I see you wearing that Adidas shirt too. I like that. So I made my first dollars in a youth sports business that I owned, actually.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. And then the fourth is about productivity. And it's essentially about the ability to focus on the key things and then to eliminate or delegate the rest. How have you maintained your productivity? What's been your number one process or activity or app even that's helped you to increase your productivity?
Buffer. It's an app called Buffer.
Okay.
It allows me to, I talked about posting every day, twice a day. Every Sunday evening, I sit down and I schedule every post that we're going to do for the entire week. So I do it one time and Buffer takes care of it every day, the rest of the week. And, people will say, oh man, I just saw your post. And I go, which one are you talking about? But so from a productivity standpoint, that's a great way to do this. There are a couple other apps, but I personally just like Buffer. The other thing is you have to have people around you when I say that believe what you believe. That means that they also will operate at the level that you're going to operate at. So I have a lot of energy. And I don't ever stop. In fact, my wife always asks me, do you ever just take a break? Because I'm always reading, either reading a hard book or an audio book, or I'm always writing something, journaling something. If I showed you my iPad in my notes section, every book that I have ever read, I have notes on it. See, I believe a part of this productivity piece is being able to pull up information that I need when I need it. So that when I'm in front of a client, if I need to refer to a quote or if I need to refer to some thought process, I can easily pull it up and not say, well, I'll have to get back to you later. Right.
Yeah.
So buffer is the one, being able to have other people around you that can operate at the same level, because then they're doing the same things that I need for us to grow our business. And then the third thing is reading and preparing the journaling part.
Good. Number 4 is about, number 5 rather, it's about confidence, essentially. It's the ability to defy self-doubt and still lead with conviction. Defy self-doubt and still lead with conviction. What's been key to building your confidence and you not getting stuck in the trap of the imposter syndrome?
Personal development, reading a lot.
Okay.
When you go through the process of personal growth and development and it becomes a part of you, then because you're reading so much or you're learning so much, you're gonna that stuckness will never come, because you have things that will help you get through that. So I have a program that I teach, and it's called Comfort Zone. And a comfort zone is characterized as doing the same thing in the same ways with the same people at the same time, getting the same results, and still asking the question why. It's because when we get stretched, we jump back to that comfort zone. So, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't feel good. Let me go back to where the safety and security is, right? When you grow and develop, you don't have a comfort zone.
Right.
Because you're always living outside of it. So you don't have that point where you get stuck. So personal growth and development and reading a lot.
Okay. Brilliant. And then our quick fire round now, Cedrick. So tell us, what does the first 90 minutes of your day typically look like?
Reading, reviewing yesterday, and emails.
And then what are the key habits that have contributed towards your success?
2 words: persistence and drive. Those are in the book Think and Grow Rich. There's a chapter on not drive, but desire. There's a chapter on desire, and then there's a chapter on persistence. And Napoleon Hill says, under desire, any person that wins at an undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can that person maintain a mindset known as a burning desire to win. You see, imagine yourself on an island, and you right past outside the island, maybe 5 miles out, there are your ships that you can get on and leave the island, or you could stay on the island. Well, burning those ships mean you take an arrow and you shoot that arrow at those ships and burn them. So you can't leave that island until mission is accomplished. That's what you have to be successful. Right. That's what you have to have. You know, a lot of people say, well, Cedrick, man, at 50, I'd love to be like you, to be able to retire, and you're not worried about whether a check comes or not. Well, yeah, people want to be in that state, but what they don't want is the drive and the desire and the persistence to do all the things that it took to get here. I didn't just wake up one day and I was here. It's about all of those other things that's going to make you better. The little things matter.
It's great. It's great. And what's your biggest weakness as a leader?
Junk food.
I hear you. High five.
If I could get rid of that, I think everything else would be good. So I guess on a serious note, I would probably say that today, wow, man, that's a hard one. I don't know. I guess I'd have to leave it at junk food because.
Okay. What's the biggest strength as a leader?
Biggest strength is adding value to other people.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to share the information that I have with other people. In fact,
can that also be your biggest weakness?
No, I don't believe so.
So here's what they say, right? Here's what we've kind of seen, that your biggest strength is your biggest weakness is your strength done to the extreme, right? Or it's the flip side of the same coin. So is it a case, or would those close to you say maybe that you give a lot, you literally, you're always pouring in, and sometimes you don't get much rest, you don't get much downtime, you're always on the go? Oh.
That's actually a good point. I guess that goes back to the question that my wife, I said my wife asked me, do I ever take a break?
Right.
So yeah, you that could be, but here's the way I look at that. There is no need for me to hoard all of this information and not share it. Someone else shared it with me. Whether that was Napoleon Hill through his book, whether that was John through any of his books or teachings, or whether that was someone else. So, some people get afraid to share because they say, oh, that's my competition. I look at it different. And this is the question when people say this, here's the question I ask them. I say, well, what city do you live in? They'll tell me. And I'll say, so how many McDonald's franchises do they have there? How many Burger Kings do they have there? How many other hamburger places do they have there? They all coexist. This is a pretty big world. If I share all of my information with you and then I can't find someone else to get a contract with for leadership development or personal growth or mentorship or coaching, if I can't find them, then that's shame on me. It's not really that the opportunity is not there. So I believe in share your information. There's plenty of customers to go around who need personal growth and development.
Okay. All right. I hear that. I hear you. Who have been your top 3 most significant mentors in your journey so far?
Number 1, and most importantly, my grandfather. Number 2, John Maxwell. Number 3, my pastor.
Awesome. And just digging a little bit deeper into those 3 relationships then. What's the best single piece of advice you've gotten from each of those 3 people?
My grandfather, 2 things. He said, 1, get your education. 2, he said, save. We used to kid my grandfather that he could get change from a penny. He would save everything and he would do everything not to spend money. So education and save from my grandfather. From John, growth is not automatic. You have to be intentional about personal growth. And 3, my pastor, and he says this, and you'll get a kick out of this. He says, you'll have plenty of time to rest when you're dead.
Lovely.
Because he's 70 or 71. He could be on the phone with me, and we talk a lot of time at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. He will be on the phone with me. He'll still be up at 4 at the gym, and then out 7 or 8 o'clock meetings all day long. And he goes and goes and goes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So if I'm 50 and I can't do that, then I got a problem.
Inspiration right there, right?
Exactly.
So is there a book, in fact, before I get to the book recommendation, what's the one thing you're most fired up about right now?
Living a life of significance. And living a life of significance is really about adding value to people. So John has a quote that I have on a card that I give out to customers and says, once you've tasted significance, success will never satisfy. So you say, well, what does that mean? Success is adding value to yourself. Significance is adding value to other people. And we talked about it right before we came on air here, last week when I was in Costa Rica with the John Maxwell team doing a leadership transformation for that country, right? That, to me, is living a life of significance, adding value to people that I don't even know. And it doesn't matter that I don't know them. We're pouring into them and trying to help them become better people.
It's worth just adding, Cedric's just returned from Costa Rica with the John Maxwell team. Training how many people?
So there was 250 John Maxwell coaches there. We trained 15,000 people, which now they will in turn, over the next 6 months, train 200,000 Costa Rican residents.
Yeah. Wow. And then is there a book or resource you'd recommend to a leader or entrepreneur that's listening right now?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is absolutely the best personal development book ever written. I've read the book a couple of times. I did a mastermind in 2016 on it. I'm doing a mastermind right now on it. I'm going to personally lead a mastermind on it later this year as well. But Think and Grow Rich, if you haven't read that book, go out today and get it. You will love it and learn a lot from it.
And then how do we find out more about you, Cedric? Where do we go? Please give us your website address, your social media handles, all that stuff.
Sure. Well, first of all, they're more than welcome to come to the great country of Texas and see me. So LaFleur Leadership Institute.com is our website. So they can meet us there. I'm on every social media platform as Cedrick LaFleur, also on LaFleur as LaFleur Leadership Institute. You can find me on social media platforms, or you can call me directly. My number is 832-722-0522.
Awesome. Cedric, thank you so much, man. Guys, I hope you've been inspired today. I have certainly taken away a few nuggets from that conversation. Be inspired, guys. Be lifted. Go and check out Cedric's website. Go and get in touch with Cedric if you've got any questions about anything he's shared today, anything he's doing right now, whether it's in education or in leadership with organizations. I'm sure he'll be happy to offer you any advice and wisdom around that. Cedric, thank you for your time today, my friend.
Hey, thank you very much. And if anyone wants to join our accountability partnership program, they're more than welcome. We're going to open it up again April 1st. We only open it up 3 or 4 times a year, but it's a personal accountability partnership program. And if you want to go to the next level and grow yourself and be held accountable, join us. Thank you.
And how do they join that?
So just go to our website at LaFleurLeadershipInstitute.com and send me a message. We're going to open it up in a couple of weeks. But if you want to join before then, feel free to go to the website. I'll get the message, or message me on social media, and I'll get you signed up before we open it up to the general public. It's a very good program. And my cell phone number again is 832-722-0522.
Awesome. Thank you, Cedric. God bless you, man.
Hey, thank you very much for allowing me to come on your show today. I definitely appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in Orlando again the next time. And as always, man,
I'll be there, man.
Enjoy the conversation.
Thank you again for joining us today on the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. I pray you've been inspired, you've been lifted, you've been encouraged to take your personal leadership to the next level. We really encourage you guys to just take action, make it happen, do something, start somewhere, go out and change the world in some way, big or small. Guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share with your friends, share with your loved ones, your colleagues, someone out there you think might benefit from hearing this great content. And if you want some more questions answering, you got a question, email me, Errol@ErrolLawson.com. Or if you want a free 30 to 45 minute coaching session with myself around the leadership challenge or issue you're working on in your business, your church, or in your organization, please feel free to email me right away. We'll get you booked in. It's Errol@ErrolLawson.com. Thank you again for listening. Go to our iTunes page, check it out, check out the previous episodes, give us a nice review, that would be awesome. Really appreciate if you could do that for us. We really appreciate you just for being here and listening. Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rising Generation.